Let us see visual representation of Node.js runtime environment. So this runtime environment we have already understood. It is like a container which will be having all the components which is required to run our JavaScript outside the browser. So we know Node.js is open source, which means Node.js is publicly available for modification and sharing. So first, let us see the Node.js code. I will just write Node.js GitHub. Click on this first link, just scroll down, and here inside this pinned section, click on this node. You can see it is open source. You can also contribute. If you contribute, your profile will be displayed here. And inside Node.js runtime environment, we are having three major components, and those are dependencies like v8 and libuv, and these are the libraries that Node.js requires for its functioning. Then we are having C++ features like file system access and networking. So inside this source code, first I'm just going to open this dependency folder deps. Click on this. Inside this, we are having all the dependencies. I will just scroll down. You can see we have this v8 dependency, and this is same as JavaScript engine which is present in our Chrome browser. And without this JavaScript engine, without this v8 engine, there is no runtime and there is no JavaScript at all. We need v8 engine. Without v8 engine, our Node.js will not be able to understand JavaScript. Then other dependency is UV, which is an open source library called libuv. And this is also one of the major dependency which will be providing access to underlying operation such as file system and networking. And then we are having other dependencies as OpenSSL, we are having crypto, we are having lot of dependencies because this dependency is one of the component in our runtime. So this is our Node.js JavaScript runtime. Here we are having JavaScript code, and inside that first component is the dependencies, in which we will be having all the dependencies which are available inside deps folder, out of which this v8 and libuv are major dependencies. I will come back. Next, inside this node, we are having this src folder. I will open, and this src folder will be containing all the C++ code for Node.js runtime. And we already know JavaScript cannot perform low-level operations like file system access or networking. But C++ can perform all the low-level operations like file system access or networking. So this source folder is a set of C++ features that Node.js will be bringing to the table. So this forms the second component in our Node.js runtime. And here we are going to have C++ features. Again, I will come back. And third major folder is lib. I will open. And as I mentioned, Node.js will be adding new features to JavaScript by using C++ code. So now you might have questions how JavaScript developers will be having access to C++ feature. Do they have to learn C++ before getting started with Node.js? The answer is completely no, because inside this lib folder, we are having JavaScript code which is written to get easy access to all the C++ features. So now, for example, I will just scroll down. Inside this, you can see we are having dns.js, we are having fs.js, http.js, and inside all these files, we are having JavaScript code which we can easily access to internally use all the corresponding CSS features. Again, this relies on libuv to access our operating system. So this makes the third component inside our Node.js runtime, that is Node.js core library. You can also call it as JS library. So now you have understanding Node.js is nothing but it is a code which is written in C++. And inside the source code, we are having all the code written in JavaScript so that we can easily access all the C++ features. And inside this runtime, we are having all these components using which we are able to execute JavaScript outside the browser. And this Node.js runtime will not be having access to web APIs. Why? Because web APIs are implemented by browser. And we have already understood completely about Node.js runtime environment in detail. So now to summarize, Node.js is nothing but it is an open source cross-platform JavaScript runtime environment, and it is not a language, it is not a framework. Instead, it is a JavaScript runtime environment, and it is capable of executing JavaScript code outside the browser. It can execute not only the standard ECMAScript language but also new features which are made available through C++ bindings using V8 engine. So this is the visual representation of Node.js runtime environment.